Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be ranking the regenerations from worst to best. So we're going to be looking at the actual regeneration, kind of maybe right before the regeneration, the kind of scene leading up to it, and then maybe a little bit after it if there is anything. We're going to take all of that into account, even though they're not measured equally. The effect of the regeneration will be part of it as well. Couple of the regenerations will be on here twice for reasons I will mention when I get to them. The animated regeneration for the first and second Doctor will not be on here. I didn't feel like it belongs, as that regeneration will be on here twice anyway, because I'll have the 10th planet version and the Twice Upon a Time version ranked separately. The 6th to 7th Doctor's regeneration will also be on here twice as well. I'll mention that when I get to them. And yeah, I guess I'll just get right on into it. And in last place is 12 to 13. Peter Capaldi regenerating into Jodie Whittaker. Part of the problem with this one is that so much of this regeneration I've seen before. It just kind of an old hat at this point. The Doctor's speech, while being good, is too long. It should have been edited down, especially since he's talking to himself anyway, because every Doctor has to have that last grand speech, which isn't just the Doctor talking, but the actor talking as well, which is, again, kind of an old hat at this point. It just goes on too long. The part about, children can hear your name. Ugh. It's some good stuff in there. Don't get me wrong. I like it. I just wish it was cut in half. It's a little too long. The part afterwards with Jodie is okay. I like how you see her reflection before you actually see her. That's pretty neat. It's okay. The regeneration effect looks cheaper than a lot of the other regenerations in Modern. There's something about the orange effect coming out of her face and hands looks more fan-made to me. It has a more liquid effect instead of like a blast effect, if that makes any sense. It doesn't look as effective to me. It goes a little too quick. It doesn't quite work. The one shot I like is when it cuts to Capaldi's eyes and eyebrows as it shows them shift into Whittaker's. I do really like that shot a lot, because the very first shot we ever see of the 12th Doctor is the shot of his attack eyebrows in Day of the Doctor, so I think it's kind of coming full circle that the last shot we get of Capaldi's Doctor is also the same shot, basically, as it's shifting into Whittaker's face. I really like that. That was a great choice. But most of the other regeneration I just don't care for, because I've seen it done too many times and seen it done better. Next on the list is the 10th Doctor regenerating into the 10th Doctor from Stolen Earth and Journey's End. It's just not quite as good to me, because it's not... it is a regeneration, but it isn't. And even whether or not it counted as one of his regenerations was up in the air all the way until Time of the Doctor. We never quite knew if that counted as one of his 12 regenerations or not. It's interesting. It's a neat little cliffhanger. I knew it couldn't be happening, because right after I saw that episode, the trailer for it here in the States, it aired months after it aired in the UK. They immediately showed the trailer for the next episode, and Tennant was in it, so I knew he was fine. I think it's a neat concept of how he siphoned off the energy into his hands so he could retain his form, because he liked being the 10th Doctor. It's just anticlimactic, and again, I almost don't really count it. So it's on here just for the sake of being on here, and that's where it falls. The next one on the list is the 3rd Doctor into the 4th Doctor. Pertwee into Baker. There's really not much after this scene, because the episode stops basically right after he regenerates. The beginning part, when he's talking with Sarah, is kind of nice. When he talks about having to face his fear and the bit of a tear, Sarah Jane. That's a nice little... And I like how he dies mid-sentence. And he dies. The Doctor dies. Not all this, if I die, I'm dead. 10th Doctor crap. He actually dies. His eyes are still open. He's dead. You see Sarah close his eyes. And he actually has to have a push from another Time Lord to get this regenerative process to work. That's really neat. That being said, the actual regeneration effect is rubbish. It is rubbish. It's just a simple fade, and I don't like it. I wish there was something here. At least pretty much all of the other classic Who regenerations give it a little more than that. It's just this simple little fade that's pretty much unbelievable. It's uninteresting. And it's so disappointing because it's two amazing doctors. It's two of my favorite doctors, but the effect is rubbish. I actually liked the slightly tweaked version of it that's in the special edition of Maldron Undead when the Brigadier is getting his memories back. And in the special edition, that sequence is different than in the original. And it actually shows the regeneration. And they do a little to it. It's really hard to explain, but if you watch it, there's a little more to it when you see the regeneration. And it gives it just a little more of a pop to make me impressed a little more. I hope when they do Series 11, they tweak that regeneration slightly. Even if they don't do anything else to Planet of the Spiders, just give me a little something else on that regeneration to make it pop a little more, and I'll be happy. Next on the list is the 11th Doctor regenerating into the 12th Doctor, so Capaldi into Matt Smith. First off, a bunch of regeneration energy blows up a whole Dalek ship. It is so ridiculous. Well, he got a whole new cycle, so it's all this extra. Oh, I don't care. It's so goofy and silly and dumb, and it's like a fanboy wrote it, which a fanboy did. Stephen Moffat is a huge Doctor Who fanboy, so a fanboy did write it. But it feels like something I would have done when I was 11. I just don't care for it. He's blowing up Dalek stuff. He's blowing up the whole... I don't care. I like his ending words to Clara at the end. I will admit, I love his little goodbye speech he does here. I love the music that plays there. The piece of music that plays as he's doing his, it all disappears like breath on a mirror. I love that music throughout that whole part. It's beautiful. And I love his speech there. Everything he says there is great. Because I can connect with some of the stuff he's saying in there. I always remember when the Doctor was me. That's great. I really enjoyed that. The actual regeneration, I don't like. The sneeze, as people call it, I don't really care for that. I'll give it credit for being different, because we already kind of got the really big, over-the-top explosion. So it is different, but it's so fast. It's like you don't quite get the closure of watching his face shift. It's just, whoosh! It's basically a transition shot with a little glow effect added in. And the transition shot's done really well. I just don't like it. It's too quick. It catches you off guard, and you're like, oh, who's this new jerk-off? So, although the ending scene is funny, too, I don't like the color of your kidneys. Of your kidneys. I like that. That's funny. Do you know how to fly this thing? It's a nice little introductory shot for Capaldi, which I enjoyed. But, yeah, I think the actual regeneration just kind of being that sneeze kind of pulls it down for me. The next one on the list is the second Doctor regenerating into the third Doctor. Sort of. Troughton to Pertwee. Because we don't actually see it. And I get that when they were filming this part, they hadn't cast Pertwee yet when they were filming this part of the War Game scene. And I think that's done really well with him spinning into the background. That's a pretty neat effect for 1969 of watching him spin around talking about being dizzy, folks. He's saying dizzy. He says, you're making me dizzy. Dizzy. With a D. Dizzy. I don't know why people think he's saying you're making me giddy. That's a stupid thing to say. That makes no sense. He's saying dizzy. He's spinning in a circle. I'm 100% certain he's saying you're making me dizzy. That drives me nuts. And it makes sense, too, because he's just spinning around. That whole shot with all the different faces turning, and that's a great effect. And then, of course, in Spearhead, just seeing him stumble out very disoriented and pass out as the third Doctor. I like that. And I do love the fact that the way this is done opens up the other possibilities, like Season 6B. I love the Season 6B theory, so I love that. I love the idea of maybe a hidden Doctor between Pertwee and Troughton and Pertwee. I love that. It'd be kind of an old hat if they did it now, with us already having the War Doctor and already having the Fugitive Doctor and Lord knows how many others. So sneaking in another hidden Doctor would kind of be an old hat and wouldn't quite have the punch it would have before the Fugitive Doctor showed up, I think. But I like the possibility there could be a hidden Doctor in there somewhere, and being able to explore that more, or that there were more adventures of the second Doctor. I actually like that it leaves that little opening. But yeah, overall, that's just kind of where this one falls. Next on the list is the 7th Doctor to the 8th Doctor from the TV movie, McCoy to McGann. This one is interesting. It's definitely unique. I've never been impressed with it, partially because I feel like with the budget the 96 movie had, it should have been a little better. And it doesn't quite seem to know what it wants to do, because it starts out basically comparing the Doctor to Frankenstein, which I like that part. And then the next thing I know, it's like comparing him to Jesus, you know, with the shroud and everything. And that's a little weird to me, to go from Frankenstein to Jesus. It's like they're sending mixed messages. Now, I actually like the part with Frankenstein, like when the hand, and you see the hands moving on the TV, and then McGann's hand moving, and I like the music right there too. The effect of the regeneration is okay. Again, the effect could have been better, I think. And as one of the guys pointed out in the Talking About Regeneration DVD extra and on one of the early seasons of Modern Who, pointed out, it's weird because, you know, you see Sylvester McCoy over there doing all of this, and McGann was just like, they're like, we want you to do that too, and he was like, no, I'm just gonna. I agree with that. To me, the transitions don't quite fit, but it does kind of have this body horror look to it that kind of gives you an idea how painful regeneration could be. Because I would imagine that's pretty painful to have your whole body shifting like that. You know, it kind of has this David Cronenberg, however you say his name, look to it, with this kind of body horror going on. And while I don't think the effect pulls it off too well, the idea of that is there. And I think that's a fascinating idea. That'll come up again later. So that idea kind of puts it up a little higher on the list, while the rest of it kind of pulls it down a little on the list. The next one on the list is the original version of the 6th Doctor into the 7th Doctor from Time in the Ronnie. I think this works okay considering what they had to work with Colin refusing to come back, understandably. I think they pull it off pretty well. One, the actual effect of the face, that little blur on the face, is a pretty neat effect. I remember seeing that as a child and being totally convinced. When I first saw that, when I was, oh Lord, I don't even know, 6, 7, 8, 9, I bought it. I just watched the 6th Doctor regenerate to the 7th Doctor. It's a neat little effect. And I know some people are like, it's obviously McCoy in a wig, but here's the reason why I always gave that a pass is, when he's rolled over, he's mid-regeneration. He's not at the beginning of the regeneration. He's mid-regeneration. So it makes sense for his face to already look a lot like McCoy's, because it's already partially transitioned into McCoy's, because it's the middle of the regeneration, and it's just the rest of it catching up. So that actually works. I actually like this regeneration better than most people. Again, because I understand the behind-the-scenes stuff going on, so I give it a little bit of pass for that. And two, the way they film it, I am utterly convinced it's mid-regeneration, not he rolls over, then he regenerates. Because as soon as you see him rolling over, the stuff's already on his face. So it makes sense to me. Next on the list is the updated version of that. That was the Easter egg bonus on the DVD, and is an optional viewing option on the season 24 box set, the one that's officially, again, made by the BBC, where you do actually see Colin's face transition into McCoy's. I really do like that, because it is nice to be able to actually see Colin's face shift into McCoy's. It's a neat looking effect. It even has that little bit of yellow to it that kind of gives you that modern regeneration vibe with the yellow glow. That works really well. Now, granted, my favorite version of that regeneration is the fan-made one that's on YouTube. You probably know the one I'm talking about, where the thumbnail has Colin with his hands glowing yellow. That's probably my personal favorite version. That version is really well done. The one that uses the audio from the Last Adventure into it, that's really, really good. But if I'm going by official ones done by the BBC, this one is my favorite over the original. It is nice seeing the transition from Colin's face into Sylvester's. And I'm glad they included it as that you could watch Time in the Ronnie with that Easter egg at the beginning instead of just having it as a bonus. That was a really nice extra touch, and how I will probably always be watching it from now on. Next on the list is the War Doctor to the 9th Doctor. I like that. John Hurt, in his short time as the War Doctor, I really did connect with him. I wish we'd gotten more time with him, because he does kind of take a back seat to 10 and 11 in Day of the Doctor, so we never really get a full adventure with him. But I like how they do his regeneration. One, I like it's not over the top and blowing up the TARDIS. It's a little more subdued, kind of like, even more subdued, I'd say, than Eccleston into Tennant's. It's very subdued, a perfect one for his Doctor. Subdued, I like that. And while it is a little frustrating we don't get Eccleston at the end, for obvious reasons, I do like the fact that it does show his face transitioning into Eccleston's. Right before it cuts away, you see kind of this upper part of his face shift to Eccleston's, like right at the last instant before it cuts away, you see it starting to change. It's neat. I'm glad that we got to see it, that it's not a mystery, that we actually do get to see the War Doctor regenerate into 9. It's a nice little send-off for him, and I really enjoy that. Next on the list is the first Doctor regenerating into the second Doctor from the 10th planet. I do like the Twice Upon a Time a little more, so we'll get to it further on the list. I really do like this regeneration, though, and if the Twice Upon a Time one didn't exist, this one would probably be higher, because I think it's the most effective use of a special effect in a classic regeneration, the way that light comes in as the face is transitioning from Hartnell to Troughton. One, the faces match up really well, and that little white light that kind of blinds the screen as they're transitioning is really impressive, especially for 1966. It's really, really impressive. I absolutely love that, and it tops most of the classic ones on the list because of that. It just looks so good. My only issues with it is, one, it takes too long. I don't like that the transition is so slow. I much prefer in Twice Upon a Time when it's quicker, perhaps a little too quick, arguably. But it runs a little too long. I've gotten so used to how it is in Twice Upon a Time that when I'm watching it in 10th Planet, or when I'm watching that shot of 10th Planet, since the whole episode it doesn't exist, it just kind of goes on longer than I like. And I don't like the TARDIS sound going off in the background. I get at the time it's supposed to be kind of linked with the TARDIS, his ability to regenerate, so it makes sense to have the TARDIS going. But they've kind of gotten away from that, in Regeneration since. So now it's just kind of distracting to hear the TARDIS going in the background. But other than that, I like it. I like what little bit of footage we see ahead of time, of the TARDIS console moving, the Doctor looking around a little nervous, Ben and Polly kind of moving the scarf. And we don't get much afterwards because episode 1 of Power of the Daleks only exists in animated form, though the animated version of it's pretty cool. The actual regeneration itself does look really neat. It's really impressive, especially for its time. Number 5 on the list, moving into the top 5, is the 4th Doctor into the 5th Doctor, Tom Baker into Peter Davison. This is a very unusual one since it does involve, it's not just a straight up regeneration, but the Watcher merging with the 4th Doctor to morph him into the 5th Doctor. That's really neat. I like that Tom Baker kind of goes out saving most of the universe. That's a cool way for him to go out. I like seeing the little callback to all of the other companions calling his name. And I love the fact that when he kind of comes to out of that daze, the first thing he does when he looks over at Adric is smiles. We get that one last Tom Baker grin, because I love that Tom Baker grin. We get that one last little Tom Baker grin as he looks over. And of course he gives that nice simple line, it's the end, but the moment has been prepared for. It's such an iconic line for a reason. It's not some big speech like they do in modern Who all the time now. It's not some big, the actor's saying goodbye, the character's saying goodbye, that's just overdone at this point. It's perfect. It's a classic Doctor Regeneration. He has his one little thing he says, and then his arm, as he points back to the Watcher, I like how it's like he runs out of gas, like he was on embers and they just kind of fade and his hand just kind of falls limply, because he just kind of runs out of gas. And then you see the Watcher merge with him. And I love how they do the transition shot. I love how it doesn't just transition straight from Baker into Davison, because that would be a lot like Pertwee into Baker, and I don't like that. It's just a simple transition, and I didn't care for that. I like here it goes through that stages where it goes from Baker to the Watcher to the kind of Watcher-Davison hybrid to Davison. That makes it work for me, even though it is just simple transitions. The fact it goes through those multiple ones to get to Davison makes it work for me. I wish it held it just a little longer on Tom before it shifted to the Watcher, because it does go from Tom to the Watcher a little faster than the other shifts. So I wish Tom was there just a little longer. But other than that, that transition works really well. It's very believable since the camera's just locked in place. And I love the music there. The music that's used all throughout that part at the end, when the Doctor is seeing flashbacks to the companions calling his name, the previous companions, when he's talking with his actual companions, when the Watcher merges with him and we actually see him regenerating from Baker into Davison. That music is wonderful. I love that piece of music so much. much like the actual Doctor Who theme, which has a very otherworldly atmospheric sound to it, a very unusual sound. This piece of music here is like that. It has a very alien, very otherworldly sound, very unusual sound and unique sound to it as well, and I really like that. And it fits the moment really, really well. I really like this regeneration a lot. Number 4 on the list is the 10th Doctor into the 11th Doctor, David Tennant into Matt Smith. I actually like the drawn-out kind of Lord of the Rings style ending here with Tennant saying goodbye to most of his companions. I wouldn't like it with literally any other Doctor except maybe Tom if they had done it that way, because I feel like Tennant earned it, because Tennant was the first Doctor that a whole generation of Doctor Who fans grew up with and really had time to attach to, because with Eccleston they didn't. He was kind of there and then he was gone. He did his one season, he was gone. You didn't really have time to get super attached to him. Tennant was the first Doctor people had time to spend years with, to age with, to grow with. And so with him leaving and everyone knowing he was leaving, that's a big emotional pull when you're losing what is really your first Doctor. I get Eccleston might have been people's technical first Doctor, but the first Doctor people really had to get attached to. When he's leaving and you don't know who the new guy coming in is going to be and if you're going to like him or not, you know, that's a very emotional thing. So I feel like Tennant's Doctor earned that long goodbye of saying goodbye, because it's not just the character saying goodbye to all of the other companions he's visiting. It's kind of giving the audience a chance to have one last little romp with him, an extra few minutes with him, and a chance for him to say goodbye to them and them to say goodbye to him. And it works for me. So I love everything leading up to it. I actually like the "I don't want to go" line. I know some people don't. They don't think it's in character for the Doctor. But it's very firmly established that this Doctor, who is a bit narcissistic and a bit, I don't know the other word I'm looking forward to, but the 10th Doctor really liked being the 10th Doctor. I mean, he fought really hard the first time he started to regenerate to keep the same face. He enjoyed being the 10th Doctor. And when you think about it, he didn't get to be the 10th Doctor long. He only got to be the 10th Doctor for about 5 or 6 years. Whereas other Doctors, a lot of times, he gets to be the Doctor for centuries. So he actually didn't get to be the Doctor long. It's ironic that he loved being the 10th Doctor so much and he didn't get to do that for long. So I can understand his "I don't want to go" line. It works for me. I actually really enjoy that a lot. I love the after scene with Matt Smith, the little minute or minute and a half we get of Matt Smith at the end of time. I liked. He's got a lot of energy to him going on there. I was really pumped to find out more about him when the new season started. And the actual regeneration I like. I love the music there, that Valle de Sim, I know it's Latin, however you pronounce it, is beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of music. I own the soundtrack, actually, to the specials. For multiple reasons, I like a lot of the tracks on it, but that one was the driving force behind it. That is a beautiful piece of music. And it's just, it matches the scenery perfect of, you know, when it shows the TARDIS flying by the Earth one last time and it cuts to that shot of him just walking, that last shot where he's walking looking all sad, and the way the music's hitting right there and how it dies down when he says his last line. And then it cuts to the regeneration energy start glowing on his face, and that slow build as it's his hands and it's getting more on his face, and it just explodes out of him is beautiful. The TARDIS blowing up is beautiful. It's beautiful there because it hasn't been done before. I don't like it anymore. It's overdone at this point. They just use it as an excuse to reset the TARDIS. But for the time, it was mind-blowing. Seeing the windows exploding and the fires all around him and the regeneration pouring out of him. And the music hitting that crescendo. Beautiful, beautiful regeneration. I absolutely loved it. Number 3 on the list is the 9th Doctor into the 10th Doctor. So Eccleston into Tennant. I like this one a lot because it does a couple first. It's the first time we see. And moving at number 3, we have the 9th to the 10th Doctor, Eccleston to Tennant. The first regeneration of modern Doctor Who. I like this one because it has a lot of first. It's the first time we see the regeneration effect that has become the staple for the modern series, basically the glowing yellow energy. It's also the first time we ever see the Doctor regenerate standing up, which is a really unique and interesting idea, especially for the time. Just for him to be standing up and still fully conscious and it just pouring out of him. I also like that, much like with the 7th to 8th Doctor, you actually see his face shifting. It's not just a transition. You actually see it morphing and changing, and again, you get kind of that David Cronenberg body horror going on a little bit. Because it looks painful. It looks like it's got to be painful. There's that one shot where you kind of just see the neck and the lower part of the jaw, and you see it kind of shifting and changing. It even makes a little like noise. And then there's the other cut when it actually does show his face, and it just shifts into Tennant. Not a quick transition, but it actually morphs into Tennant's. I really like that, and I wish they did that more often, where it actually shows the face shifting and changing. That's really cool. I actually like the regeneration effect. The yellow energy looks better than it does in some of the regenerations. Like, it doesn't look as good as Tennant to Smith, but it looks way better than Capaldi to Whitaker's. I actually think and I like how it just explodes out of him really fast too. He's just boom, and it just explodes out of him. I love that. It's really, really good. The music there is pretty nice, if a little quick. I like the farewell scene of him talking to Rose right before that, of Nine talking to Rose. Because it's not only the Doctor reassuring Rose, it's the Doctor reassuring the audience. Because for this video is taking a long while to complete. I was clean shaven when this started. Moving into second place is the 5th Doctor to the 6th Doctor from the Caves of Androzani. I really like this one. Not only is the Caves of Androzani itself a great story, but I love everything with the regeneration here. I love the kind of psychedelic effect it does for the actual regeneration itself. It is kind of like a classic Who version of the modern regeneration in a way, and I really like that. I like the music, how it does this kind of building crescendo noise. Building crescendo noise. Kind of like the Beatles' A Day in the Life, when it does that building. In that one part of the song, it does that here, where you just have it picking up like that. I don't really care for the faces moving around of the companions. I don't like that. I would have preferred the flashback sequences used like when Tom regenerated. So I don't care for the companions swirling around. I do like when the Master fills the screen. That's pretty cool, especially since we had just seen the Master die the story before. So it's kind of like his ghost reaching out. I really like that. No, my dear Doctor, you must die. Die, Doctor. And his face filling the screen. And I like how subtly Davison's face has faded away where you can't see it. You just see that psychedelic image, whatever's going on, regeneration energy filling the screen. Because it's done so subtly that you almost don't pick up on the fact that Davison's face has slowly faded out of view where you don't see it. Until the music hits that big and you just see Colin Baker sit up with the camera like in the same spot. And it looks so natural. It looks like a natural transition the way it works. When you just see, boom, Colin Baker sits up. I love it. And I love how he's immediately the 6th Doctor. How he's just like, with that self-confident smile of his. You're expecting someone else? I love that. And that's 3 eyes in 1 sentence. Makes you sound like quite the conceited young lady. I love that. He's already the 6th Doctor, basically right here, out of the gate. I love that. And then I enjoy this right before the regeneration too, when Davison is struggling to get her into the TARDIS. And once he gets her there, he just kind of collapses. He was using all of his willpower just to carry her into the TARDIS, going through all that to save his friend. That at this point he barely knows, not including Big Finish stuff. But from a TV point of view and from a first broadcast point of view, he barely knew. That's the Doctor in a nutshell. And then, like I said, the actual regeneration is done really, really well. Easily my favorite Classic Who regeneration that's in Classic Who, I could say. And then number 1 on the list is the 1st Doctor into the 2nd Doctor from Twice Upon a Time. This one had to be number 1 because it gives me goosebumps when I watch it. I really, my dopamine just kicks in when I watch this one. A lot of it, I think, is that music that's used here, that retweaked version of Tennant's music from right before he regenerates in End of Time. Or, it's from different parts of End of Time, that Valle Decem, or however you pronounce it, it's in Latin. It's like Valadecem. No, I take that back. That's actually the one where he regenerates. I'm thinking of Valle. That's it. I think. I think this is the take on that. But that music's great because when it played for Tennant, it was very sorrowful, very sad, very much things ending, mourning. And it's like that at the beginning of HamDoney when he's in the TARDIS talking, but right when it clicks to where you see the Twice Upon a Time footage transitioning back into the 10th Planet footage, the music suddenly changes at 180s. It suddenly becomes optimistic and hopeful and new beginnings, all of that when the music just kicks up. And once it kicks up, I get excited. I'm off to the races. My whole body just gets so excited. My body is ready, as the Nintendo meme goes. I absolutely love the music there and how it kicks into that final chorus line right when the regeneration's happening. It's really hard for me to communicate what I'm trying to say, but I love that little final bit. I wish it stretched a little longer, but I love it. As for what's going on screen, I like that it's not overdone like 12's regeneration is. 12's regeneration is so disappointing, whereas I find this one easily the better regeneration of the episode because it's short. It keeps it short, like a classic. It's very much a classic Who regeneration in the way it's done, where not Hartnell, but the first Doctor doesn't say much. He just kind of says his, well then, here we go, the long way around. You know, just a short little sentence or two there, and that's it. And then it cuts to, you see his hand glowing with the regeneration energy, and it cuts to that shot of the TARDIS console rising and lowering, which is a recreation of that iconic shot from the 10th Planet. And then, of course, it shows the Doctor on the ground, and you're seeing it transition from the Twice Upon a Time footage into the 10th Planet footage when it switches back to the 4:3 and the black and white and the grain is just magical. And then seeing, the TARDIS reappearing there in Antarctica. I'm sure he just hit the recall switch because normally you can't steal the TARDIS, but the recall switch still works. I like how they kept the recall switch there since that was kind of a first Doctor thing. Seeing it reappear, and then of course it's showing the regeneration. And I like the fact that regeneration's quicker here. Maybe a little too quick, but I like the fact that it's quicker and it totally fits the music that's playing. And I love the fact that for 1 second, one beautiful, beautiful, wonderful second, Patrick Troughton is the Doctor again. That puts a smile on my face every time. I wish they could have shown a little more of maybe Troughton waking up. Sadly, Power of the Daleks is missing. They couldn't do that. I would have loved to have had that extended slightly, but I get goosebumps every time I watch that scene. And I'm watching the transition of the regeneration and that music is playing. It's just beautiful. I sometimes watch Twice Upon a Time and just skip right to that scene, and I'll watch it like 2 or 3 times, and I always get so pumped up and excited for it. Whereas the Capaldi one, I'm just like, yeah. So I got to admit, it's just my favorite regeneration. Everything about it's just perfect for me. So that's my thoughts on the regenerations. Boy, has this been an undertaking to get done. I was clean shaven when I started this like a week ago. I hope you like it. I'd like to know how you would rank the regenerations and what you think of my list and my reasoning. So comment down below because I always enjoy hearing what you guys think. If you haven't yet, I'd love for you to click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. I am trying to grow the channel to 1,000 subscribers. That's my goal right now, and we are on our way. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I would appreciate you doing that. I also want to give a shout out to 2 of my top tier patrons, the 5th Doctor and Stephen Crane. I really appreciate them supporting me here on the channel and supporting me on Patreon. If you would like to support me on Patreon, there is a link to my Patreon down in the description below. My entry level tier is only $2 a month. And there are several other tiers as well that get you access to different things like bonus videos, exclusive videos, early access, bloopers, outtakes, fun stuff like that if you're interested. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything Doctor Who related you would like to send me, my P.O. box is down in the description if you'll check that out. And a link to my Amazon wish list is there as well if that would interest you. Most importantly though, thank you for watching.